Are you thinking about moving to the Tri-Cities, Washington? Well, hold on a second. While this sunny corner of the Pacific Northwest does have a lot to offer, it's not smooth sailing for everyone. From scorching summers to limited nightlife, I'm breaking down the top 11 reasons why living here may not be your cup of tea. But remember, for every drawback, there's an uptick, so stick around. Whether you're a longtime local or you're considering moving here, this video might just change the way you think about the Tri-Cities. Thanks for joining me on my channel that's dedicated to living in the Tri-Cities, Washington. I'm Kayla Corbin with eXp Realty, and if you're interested in learning more about our housing, our neighborhoods, our getting around our community, entertainment, recreation, whatever, please subscribe below and don't forget to tap the bell so that you can be notified when any new videos do come out. And if you're moving here in the next month, the next year, what have you, or even just interested in learning more about how you might fit into the Tri-Cities, reach out. Let me be your boots on the ground. I would be delighted to help you make a smooth transition in your move to the Tri-Cities. All of my information is in the description below. So let's get started. So how this video came about is I did a review of conversations that I've had with my clients that are moving to the Tri-Cities or considering moving to the Tri-Cities, and I put a list together of their questions, their concerns, even their hesitations. And then I went out to the internet and I looked through other people's websites and social media and whatnot, and just got some general comments, some from my own channel as well, comments about the Tri-Cities and what people think of it, the Tri-Cities, and their impression of the Tri-Cities. So I grabbed all of that, put it together into a list, and then before I compiled the list down to the 11, which I know is an awkward number, but I was feeling awkward that day, I went out and looked at other YouTube videos that discuss the pros and cons of living in the Tri-Cities. And I did that in an effort to not be redundant and to make this video useful to you and new information. So I compiled all that down. Here we have our list of 11. And the one thing, even in spite of trying to not be redundant, was that the resounding comments about the Tri-Cities is that it's windy. So I could not leave that off the list. However, what I did do is I encompassed that into a larger sphere of concern and made that into weather. So number one is weather. So let's talk about the wind. Yes, the wind and dust storms can be a problem at times in the Tri-Cities. You're going to see those mostly in the spring and the fall when the weather is changing. And they can be severe, but not anything like a tornado or a hurricane, nothing to that magnitude. Just very, very windy, moves things around. Your cars will remain in place, but your toys and whatnot in the yard may not. So also, if you think about the old westerns where the whistle blows and you've got a big old sagebrush down the middle of the street, well, you're going to see that here when we have some of our windier weather in the Tri-Cities. Fortunately, it's not frequent. So even though we do have them, it's not an absolute occasion. We typically always have a nice breeze, which really makes for more of a pleasant type of environment, because when it does get really hot, then it helps to keep it cooler, and our dry heat also helps to keep the humidity down in the Tri-Cities, which is a great thing because I used to live in Florida for a little bit. And boy, so our next concept that brings us up to the extreme temperature variation. So in the summertime, we do get very hot weather for a few weeks, and in the wintertime, we get very cold weather. With that, what I mean is in the summertime, it can get up above 100 degrees and it can stay there around 3 weeks, give or take. And in the wintertime, same thing. It will get down to 0 and maybe even some of the negative digits and just only remain there for a few weeks. So we do have those temperature extremes. And speaking of the cold weather, one thing that we do get in the wintertime is a little bit of an inversion. And that's when the real cold weather starts coming in. It causes that inversion. It lasts for 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a little depressing, but thank God, unlike the west side, we only deal with that gloom weather for a few weeks in a year. It's not constant, like for instance, Seattle. All right, so then on the flip side of that, let's talk about sunny. One of the things that Tri-Cities is known for as well is having over 300 days of sunlight. And that's for the most part true. It may not be sunny all day long, but really we do have a lot of very sunny and clear days. In fact, there's one here today. We're entering into the fall on September the 18th, and it's a beautiful day. Cooler at night, warmer in the day, and still short weather during the day, and then maybe a light jacket at night. So wonderful. The summers lend themselves to long days so that you can enjoy outdoor activities longer, and we have wonderful sunsets. We have really beautiful sunsets here in the Tri-Cities. So with our extreme temperatures in this region here, we also will have forest fires around us. So let's talk about air quality next. Number 2 is going to be air quality. Because of those fires, we do get the smoke. It kind of hovers in here. And this isn't specific just to the Tri-Cities. This is actually this region of the country because of the forests that we have around us, even though the Tri-Cities itself is very desert-like and we don't have forests here in the Tri-Cities. We do have trees, but they're not generally native pine trees. But anyway, the smoke can cause some problems with air quality. So if you're subject to asthma or allergies, smoke might be one of the elements that does really get to you. A second one is going to be the pollen. We are a huge agriculture area, so around us, again, and more closely knit to where the Tri-Cities is, we have a lot of agriculture. And with that, then you're going to have more pollen in the air. I know my brother is very allergic to those pollens, and he sneezes and suffers, but fortunately, we have good drugs for that. So just talk to me if you want to know, if you want a recommendation on those drugs, because I am a pharmacist, and don't put that part about the pharmacist in. And then, so we've talked about pollen, we've talked about smoke, and then the last thing, and this is maybe, some people notice it, some people don't. It just depends how long you've been around here or how sensitive you are. I can smell things pretty well, but smell. That's another concern with our air quality at times. Now, again, like I said, some people smell it, some don't. But we will get odors wafting off of Wallula, the pulp plant out there, and also the food processing facilities that we have out towards the east of the Tri-Cities. And also there's a feedlot out there that can have a distinct odor that can be strong on some days, but you don't smell it every day. And it may not even last all day, every day. So when people say that it smells here, they might be over exaggerating a little bit, but there are times where you will smell something that's not as pleasant as you would like to smell. Number 3 is going to be limited nightlife and dining options. I kind of couple these together because they're obviously going out concerns. But nightlife depends on what you want in nightlife. If you want a club, we do have some clubbing opportunities around here, but you don't have a lot. So it is limited. That's hence the word limited. There's not a huge amount of clubs, but there are clubs. So it's not like you're never going to find that. Then dance options, we definitely have dance options. In fact, I tore up the dance floor here a few weeks ago with my family after a birthday party get together and had a blast. So that was a lot of fun. And we have places that will provide live music. You can get DJ music. And then also another place, Emerald of Siam, which is a very much a favorite, has things like comedy night, open mic, and different types of engagements that are kind of more on the artsy cultural side of things. And plus, if you like cowboy country music, we've got those options here. You do have a nightlife. It just depends on what you want to do with it. And you have to pick and choose what it is that you're looking for. But drive careful when you're out partying, all right? Next thing about that is the dining. We have all of your standard chain restaurants. You know, Applebee's, Red Lobster, Red Robin, Olive Garden. We have those. We definitely have those. And for a long time, that was primarily all we really had. We had very few nicer restaurants, you know, like a high-end place where you might get dressed up to go out for a nice dinner, and on the river too. But that's changed. You know, in the years I've watched this grow and expand, and we now have some really clever restaurants to eat at, and tapas bars and wine bars. As the wine industry and the wineries around here have grown, our palate has changed as well, where we're expecting to have more high-end meals and drinks served with that. So places that I can think of is like Bud's. I had my birthday dinner there last year, and on the river, it was so awesome. But their filet mignon is to die for, and with the mushroom gravy, and wonderful, wonderful. But Bud's, you've got Anthony's, Lulu's Craft Kitchen. We've got then those are some of our high-end. Dovetail Joint is one as well. And then we've got other restaurants like Frost Me Sweet, and these are local. I mean, obviously, have you ever heard of them before? But Frost Me Sweet, and we've got Foodies. So we do have dining options, and they can vary to what it is, how much you want to spend, and what kind of experience you want to have as well. So number 4 is going to be limited shopping. And when I say limited shopping, I'm really talking to you folks out there that like to go to the big department stores and buy really fancy clothes and boots and purses and whatnot. That's not here. But it's close, and it's a great road trip to go to Spokane for a day or even a night. You can stay in the Davenport, downtown Spokane, and you're right there where all the shopping is. You can go to Seattle, that's 3.5 hours away, or Portland, 3.5 hours away. So you've got a lot of options. So you've got a lot of options to make your big spending adventure. But with all that said, there is anything that you might need that isn't available here in the Tri-Cities. In fact, where the Tri-Cities is in location to Oregon and other parts of Washington, we're a hub for some of your bigger shopping, for like Costco and at times Walmarts, and even larger grocery stores like Albertsons, Safeway, Winco, Fred Meyer, we have here as well. So we have a lot of people coming in from Oregon within at least an 80-mile radius to do their shopping. Obviously, that's not on a daily basis, but they are making this their hub. In fact, speaking of that, our Costco at any time of the day, any day of the week, is so crazy busy that Costco's even opening a second location in our little community of 320,000. And that's because of the draw that we bring in from the small towns and areas around us. If you're enjoying this video, please invite your friends, subscribe below, and stay with us for our journey through exploring the Tri-Cities. Number 5 on the list is limited job opportunities. Now, this isn't something that I came up with. This really was part of my due diligence and research on the internet as to what are some of the drawbacks of living in the Tri-Cities, Washington. I can't totally agree with this because there are so many opportunities here for not just jobs, but to gain the skills and the education necessary to basically have any job or career that you want to have here in the Tri-Cities. Our major industries have been historically energy from the Hanford area, and agriculture from way before that, and then also medical. Obviously, we have to have medical as well. But what we didn't mention, or what wasn't mentioned, is the amount of construction and growth that we have going on in the Tri-Cities, Washington. It's major. There's building going on everywhere, whether it's commercial or residential. And we've got little communities, residential pockets. If you've watched some of my other videos, you'll see that I'm always detailing how you can come to the Tri-Cities. You can build an affordable, brand new home. So that's skilled labor. It can be on the job. We also have training facilities to enter into a skilled trade, like electrical or construction or plumbing, you name it. Anyway, there are a lot of those opportunities. And did I mention that we have over 3,000 jobs coming to the Tri-Cities in the next couple of years from all the new corporations that are coming here to build their businesses? or expand their businesses. So you kind of see why I don't necessarily agree with limited job opportunities, but you be the judge of that. So I mentioned that we are having growth from corporations bringing their presence to the Tri-Cities. So number 6 on the list is actually rapid growth and development. Which again, I kind of like it, so it's hard for me to disk it too much, but I do know that some people are very sensitive to all the construction and tractors and traffic that's caused by the rapid growth. And with that rapid growth, again, is the construction of new roads and bypasses, and it's there, and it can be frustrating when you're commuting, but you just learn that it's going to be going on for a while. Our newspapers are really good about letting us know how long this road construction is going to last here or there. But so if you're sensitive to that sort of growth and development, there's also places that you can live, choose to live, call home, that will not have any construction going on around you. It will be your little piece of pie. So I can help you find that if that's what you'll look for, but that's something to put on your list when you're moving here or considering moving here, is whether or not I don't want to listen to that, or yes, I want a brand new home and I'm willing to live with dust and noise and equipment and porta potties for a year in order to have my beautiful little home. So home leads us into number 7, which is high property taxes. We do have some of the higher property taxes in the state of Washington. We're not the highest by any means, but we do have higher property taxes. And those are going to be mostly your homes that are in new, upcoming, nicer developments or down by the river. So that tax will be higher for those homes. But with that, also, our cost of living actually remains pretty low for the Tri-City area, especially relative to Washington itself, but then again, nationwide. It does have a lower cost of living, and that helps to maybe offset some of the prices of your property taxes. So number 8 is going to be limited public transportation. And we do have Ubers, we do have taxis, not a huge amount. It's not like New York City where you walk out and taxi, and you've got somebody there. But if you are used to a community that has really robust public transportation like subways and a great bus system that's highly used, by the way, those types of things, it's a little bit faint here in that terms. With that said, we do have a public transport system, a bus system, Ben Franklin Transit it's called. And so it's not highly used, but it's available. But they do have 3 tiers of service that will help you to navigate your way around the Tri-Cities and get where you need to be when you need to be there. Number 9 is limited recreational activities. And again, I'm not sure how I feel about this point, but I throw it out there because it's not my opinion, remember? Anyway, yes, I'm not gonna lie, when I first came back to the Tri-Cities, I have traveled around as a pharmacist around the country. I actually had one of those jet-setting jobs, which was really cool because that was on the bucket list when I was 18 years old. But anyway, when I first came back, I was really concerned about the fact that there's not forests here and that I can't be in the mountains and hiking up a hill and doing all of those crazy things that I love to do in the mountains. But what I discovered is that it's like an hour and a half away and you are literally in the no-cell zone. And I adore the no-cell zone, but because it's such a free pass. But you can actually be in the no-cell zone if you go towards Yakima or even Eastern Washington. So we have mountain property, my family does, in the Blue Mountains here in Eastern Washington, and it's 80 miles away. It's an hour and a half at best to get up to that mountain property. But last weekend I went gold mining. We're goldy around here. We're goldy. Anyway, I went gold mining in Oregon. Now that was a little bit longer of a trip, but it was, oh my gosh, I loved it. I love road trips anyway. But we went towards Pendleton and then over into La Grande, across Cabbage Hill, which is a treacherous and extremely scary mountain pass. I don't recommend it in the wintertime, but it is pretty fun in the summertime, but it is dangerous. You have to be very careful, especially for truck drivers. Anyway, so we do have a lot of recreation around us. A couple hours from around here, you can find skiing and mountains. But guess what? Right here in our own backyard, we have Badger Mountain, Candy Mountain. We've got all sorts of little mountains that we can climb. They may not be forest populated, but they're there that you can hike up them and get some exercise in and, you know, see a higher point, see the world from a higher point. We have a river. We've got rivers in the Tri-Cities area. So if you are into water sports at all, this is it. And as I've mentioned before in other videos, access to the water in the Tri-Cities is really easy. It's not so limited that you have to drive way up the road in order to get access to the water. I mean, even if you're splashing a boat, those docks or those launches are all dotted all up and down the river, both sides. So we definitely have a lot of that activity. Wonderful bike trail system. And we have an advocacy group here that is always working to get more bike trails in and make bike riding and commuting on a bike safer in the Tri-Cities. And that's just to name a few of the things that we have to do. I know some of the comments have been that there's nothing for kids to do. Well, really think about it. What do you think they're gonna do? Like, let's just pretend, let's be in New York City. What are they gonna do different than what they might do in a rural area like the Tri-Cities, Washington? A rural area with a nice community and town with opportunities there. Let's think about that. I think that could be an unfair statement that there's nothing to do for kids. So number 10, and I just had to throw this in here because this was something I see on other people's videos, and that is what kind of wildlife we have that you should be afraid of. And we don't really have a lot of like cougars coming down from the mountains or bears. We don't have that. So I'm not saying it can't happen. Trust me, I'm not saying it can't happen. But one thing we do have is we have snakes and we do have spiders. None of them are lethal, but we have rattlesnakes. The western rattlesnake is here in this eastern Washington, eastern Oregon area. You do have to have an idea how you're going to manage yourself if you should come upon a rattlesnake. Now, rattlesnakes, they don't prey on humans. They're not going to chase after you and try to, you know, bite you, but they'll just keep to themselves. But they do like the heat. They like the hot rocks, and you just learn where to watch for them and just be cautious. So not a problem. My 4-year-old out in Altopia, he used to come in and say, "Granddad, there's a rattlesnake out in the field." And, you know, it was just kind of a way of life, and we didn't worry about it. You're not going to see the rattlesnake so much here right in city because of the fact that mostly we have green grass, you know, not places that rattlesnakes are going to want to hang out. In terms of spiders, really, we have the black widow spider and the yellow sac spider. And both of those, again, aren't preying on humans. They're just basically minding their own business. You don't want to get bit by one. All of what I just mentioned above, the rattlesnake, the black widow, the yellow sac spider, will require medical attention, but they shouldn't kill you. Number 11 is going to be our lack of cultural diversity. And that is kind of true. We are a growing and evolving community, and as more people come to us to live here, to make this their home, they bring those diverse ideas, diverse customs, diverse habits, and the Tri-Cities begins to adopt those. So you'll see that even with if you go back to the dining and look at the different restaurants that we have available here and go to what our arts and entertainment is, there again, you're gonna see some of that cultural diversity. We are an evolving community, and we would love for you to bring your color for us all to enjoy here. All right, that wraps up our 11 points. I hope you enjoyed it, and I thank you for joining me. But what I want to share with you before you go is our fun fact for the Pacific Northwest today is that in 1941, the US government hired Woody Guthrie to come to this area along the Columbia River and to write songs for a documentary that was being created. The documentary never took place, but his compilation of songs did happen to find their way onto an album called Columbia River Ballads. And one of those is Roll On Columbia. That became a hit back in the day and has actually been adopted by the state of Washington as our state song. All right, so If you're ready to begin your journey investigating the Tri-Cities, or ask me any questions, or always comment below, but ask me any questions about moving to the Tri-Cities, where you might live in the Tri-Cities, those hesitations and considerations, concerns that you have, give me a call. I'm happy to be there for you. All of my information is in the description below. And please, again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends or anybody you know that might be considering living in the Tri-Cities. Thanks for watching, and happy home searching.